contact Alex, and we decide we'll sneak into Miller's apartment and find out if he's a stooge of some other powers. This is while Miller's meeting with state police. I'm not sure exactly what Adam is looking for here, but it would have to be some kind of electronic correspondence. Although I wouldn't be surprised if we find some sort of hidden elevator that leads to an underground lair. Alex will continue to research the Versalife break-in, which hasn't really been addressed in the narrative before in any real detail. She's also going to research that weird guy Viktor Marchenko we met at Golem City. This is interesting as Adam is using all his connections to solve his problem.
You keep digging into that Versalife break-in and see what the collective can dig up on a Viktor Marchenko. If I'm right, and Rucker was poisoned, all three might be connected.
Okay, so we're under the impression that Adam thinks the Versalife break-in with the possible poisoning of Rucker and Viktor Marchenko are all somehow related. Okay, we have really no basis to disregard any implication or any inference, and no real evidence to say otherwise. So while it's good Adam is at least believing in something, we don't really have much to go on with any other lead until Miller comes back with analysis of the email we found. Smiley finds out the timing mechanism of the bomb was made by a custom watchmaker in the city, and he gives us their address. We walk outside the door of the shipping storefront, and a bomb goes off. But it seems completely unrelated to the narrative. We get to the watchmaker's apartment, and it looks like his door's lock was blown off. We find a clock and hit it, and it opens a secret door leading to a secret room. It seems watchmaker Stanek had a hospitalized daughter named Allison who fell in with the wrong people when she came home from the military. He asked to visit him at a bar they frequent in the red light district. As we avoid a trap set by the Diwali for some reason, by going through some ducks, of course, we tell Smiley about this, and he sends some agents out to meet them, so we make our way to the bar. Stanek tries defending his daughter by saying he made the bombs, and mentions that Allison's friends only liked augmented people, and they only mentioned something called the Ascension. So we go and sneak into Miller's apartment, but all we can find is his NSN access card. We contact Alex, and she agrees to meet us to talk about the Versalife break-in.
You said you got something on Versalife.
Yeah. A couple of months back, a research assistant was found dead in the Roka Seka beach facility. Special Projects Division. She was poisoned, just like Rucker.
She. You got her name?
Anik Norstad. Why? You know somebody there?
Okay, so someone at Versalife was poisoned, and Adam maybe thought it was Megan. So what? Although, how they know they were poisoned, and maybe in the same way Rucker was poisoned, is unclear, since Adam simply took off when Rucker got killed, and no one has any forensic data on the event just now. Alex says her life is targeted at what happened with her in Bell Tower, and that Versalife screwed up her life, but we don't know exactly what she saw. Adam says he has to use the NSN chair, or the Neural Subnet Network chair, and Miller's card to play back more of the conversation Miller had with whomever about the potential setup of ARC, but there's a chance that Adam might be discovered when using it. So without any thought or checkup on where Miller might be, or making sure no one would walk in while we were using this thing, we just jack ourselves into this NSN virtual reality chair. We enter a room which looks like the scene from the first part of the game where the supposed Illuminati were talking. So we fumble around doing some neuromancer type stuff, do some remote hacking, crawl through some virtual ducts because it's Deus Ex, why not? All for the purpose of lighting up some black monoliths into purple, which then disappear some of them do. The last one you light up, and then we magically teleport into a cutscene. Miller was talking to Joseph Manderley, and when Miller leaves, Joseph then talks to Bob Page about needing a report about the break-in in Versalife, which makes us question whether or not Miller is even aware of Bob Page. However, the break-in at Versalife hasn't happened yet, and it seems to be Joseph's plan, and then Bob says, okay, I'm going to probably set this thing up. It appears Rucker was onto the mole these guys put into Golem City, and the mole apparently killed Rucker with something called the Orchid. Page doesn't care about that so much, and only concerned about some person named Brown, whom I'm assuming is Nathaniel Brown, the guy that Seraph wanted to talk to. He believes that once Rucker is dead, Brown will make his move, whatever that is. This sort of conversation isn't too confusing, but it's also not too complex. It's kind of a letdown. I was hoping for more of a conspiracy here. Conspiracies would lead themselves to plot reveals, and then you'd have twists and turns of who's doing what. This is all pretty much laid out. So we jack out of the Matrix, talk to Alex, and decide to set up a face-to-face with Janus, as it appears the Juggernaut Collective is our only friend we can trust here. As soon as we exit the room, we talk to Dr. Delara, who's here to leave a message for Miller. Apparently she's never heard of email before, and she also seems to have access to this room despite us using Miller's keycard to unlock the door. Gee, I think she just might be hiding something from us. The question is then, did we stupidly keep the door unlocked when we unlocked it with his keycard to get in here? Anyway, she says the message she was leaving on Miller's computer, because that's how computers work, to him was regarding Vince Black, some undercover agent in the Diwali group. And she can give us a side quest to go check up on him. And if we keep talking to her, we can find out she's actually friends with Joseph Manderley, or at least just calls him Joe. So let's recap here. 1, she mysteriously gets into this locked room. 2, she's seen using Miller's computer so she can leave a message to him about someone else. Okay. 3, she calls Joseph Manderley Joe. 4, she doesn't seem too concerned with what we were doing, nor seems to ask us about it. Gee, I wonder if she's working for the Illuminati. So we talk to Alex.
Adam, Janus heard the NSN conversation we recovered. He agrees you two should meet.
Good. Just tell me where.
There's an abandoned tourist information center in the central plaza. Make sure you're not followed. And I got something on Marchenko for you too. Details are on a pocket secretary near the meetup point. Look for a trash bin with a chalk mark above it. You'll find it near the metro.
Got it.
Wait, you put the information about Marchenko on a pocket secretary for me to pick up in public somewhere. Is there some reason you couldn't email us with this stuff? Or put it on a private server and encrypt or passport it? Like, what is wrong with these women using email? What, did they just go over their futuristic attachment file size limit? So we have our face-to-face with Janus in the metro. He says we can't use the recording of Paige giving the order to kill Rucker because it was obtained illegally, and while in some jurisdictions that's true, nothing's stopping the police from entering the NSN and obtaining the data with a warrant. Janus wants us to break our hack into a bank and get more data on Versalife to see if they're planning another bombing or something. We speculate on Brown being Nathaniel Brown, but our conversation gets cut short as sentry drones are somehow aware of the transmission. Since we weren't followed and used the magical power of ducks, we use that same power to escape, because no one expects to look in the ducks. Also, it helps when you can turn yourself invisible. Anyway, it's not too big a stretch that the 3 things related on Adam's original hypothesis are true. The Versalife break-in, with the possible poisoning of Rucker, and Victor Marchenko are all related. Thus, it's safe to deduce we'll figure out that Victor, or yet another Illuminati mole we're unfamiliar with, was the one who killed Rucker with something called Orchid.